What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. And in this video, we're going to go ahead and go over, well, we're making a tier list. So this tier list is going to be about over all the ultimate weapons, only the ultimate weapons in the first Descendant. Now this tier list, I'm going to do my best not to be biased. I'm going to try to make this tier list as fair as possible based off of the weapons, performance in game, stat wise, whether, everything. Even if it's a weapon that's that's use case is essentially only good for character specific. Everything, I'm gonna try to incorporate every aspect of the weapon to determine where it goes on this list from S, A, B, C, or D tier. I wish there was an F tier. But there's not one in this one. I'm just using some Google one, so whatever. So we got all of our weapons up in here uploaded. So like I said, I'm gonna do my best to keep it unbiased based off of what I like to use. So anyways, guys, I'm gonna try not to make this a lengthy video because if you watch any of my other videos, I love yapping. I just be chatting it up. So I'm gonna try not to do that in this video. So with that being said, let's stop wasting time and get straight into this. All right, so let's go ahead and kick this thing off with our first weapon in the line, which is the Divine Punishment. So the Divine Punishment is an assault rifle for sure, and well, it's an assault rifle in the general rounds category. This weapon is not bad. I do have a build on the channel for this one, and it's not a horrible weapon for sure. The unique ability is kind of mid, if I can be honest. It's all right. It's not really all that great. The damage isn't too crazy on this, but I mean, it does have really good fire rate, low crit chance, which is rough. So the weapon as a whole, the performance on it's pretty good. It's pretty accurate, pretty stable. It's definitely user friendly. It has a decent sized magazine. Fire rate is already pretty good. Add a fire rate mod, and this thing it's spit and lead. It's a good weapon, but it's not amazing just because of its damage at only a 10,000 damage base. So where would I put this weapon? Because it's user friendly, and the ultimate ability on it is mid. Like the damage bonus that you get from the unique ability is only what 10% at max. You get like defense bonuses and things of that nature, but so the unique ability is all right. It's mid. It doesn't really seem to be too noticeable at all in game, but the weapon itself is very user friendly. It does have a decent amount of damage to do most content in the game, so we place it in the B tier. So that's the Divine Punishment. All right, so the next weapon, the Enduring Legacy. We all know where this one's going. Not just because of the YouTube hype and things of that nature, but purely based off of the Enduring Legacy's stats, performance, and things of that nature. The Enduring Legacy is amazing. So if you're wondering why I'm looking down, it's because I'm, looking at reviewing stats. I gotta make this as accurate as possible when I'm doing my judgments. So I'm looking at stats here of the weapon and all that. So, anywho, the Enduring Legacy, we're just going to go ahead and place this thing in S tier right now. The reason why the Enduring Legacy is an S tier weapon is not just because, oh my goodness, it hits hard and has 115 bullets at base. No, yes, the damage is pretty good on it. With a 2.3 times multiplier, 20% critical hit chance base, it's a 2.3 times critical hit damage multiplier. The base multiplier and the base crit chance on this is obviously amazing. It has a 115 round magazine, which is really good. The only drawback to the Enduring Legacy is just the reload time. Now you can adjust that with mods. It's up to you. You know what I mean? So the Enduring Legacy can deal with crowds of enemies. It deals with commanders. It deals with elites. It even deals with Colossus bosses. Fairly good. I'm not gonna say that this weapon absolutely melts everything in seconds. The weaker Colossus bosses, yes, but the higher ones, no. But it still definitely is amongst the best weapons in this game when it comes to dealing with Colossus. it's probably the best when it comes to sustained damage over a certain period of time in a Colossus fight, if you're just strictly using weapons and not character abilities. So this weapon literally can do it all. So that's why it's S tier. All right, so the next one is the Greg's Reversed Fate. We all know after the changes to this weapon, because before it was absolutely dog water, but they changed it now, and quite frankly, this is another S tier weapon. Simply just due to the fact that it's unique. And what makes it S tier is because of its unique ability and nothing else really. Let's say if this weapon didn't have that unique ability, it would probably be A tier, mid A tier. But because of its unique ability at max being able to drop 7 bombs down. Let me make sure my information on that is correct. Yeah, being able to drop 7 bombs at a 30% 20% chance to drop 30 bombs. I mean, 7 bombs that do the damage of whatever triggered it. It's actually pretty crazy. And because this weapon can hit some pretty nice numbers, you're really just multiplying your damage by 7 every time you do proc it. So it's a huge damage increase because of its unique ability. And that's simply the only reason why. Otherwise, like I said, it'll be like an A tier weapon for sure without it. So S tier for the Greg's Reversed Fate. All right, so the next weapon that we got, the Executor. The Executor shotgun. Right off the bat, D tier. This thing is horrendous. The damage is garbage. I don't care that it has 19 pellets. If every 19 pellets is only hitting like 9,000 damage. Your damage is abysmally trash with this weapon for some reason. I have it built out. I have a video on the channel. The weapon just does not perform in the slightest. And what makes it even worse, right? Let's say the damage was slightly increased and it was moved from the high power rounds or whatever the purple ammo is to like green or orange or something like that. Then it will probably be a little bit higher, like maybe C tier or something. But the fact that it is a heavy weapon, has the least amount of ammo that you can get in a standard battle, and it does practically the lowest amount of damage amongst the lowest amount of damage in the game, it's not worth it. It's a horrible, horrible weapon as it stands right now. It's not worth it. Unfortunately, I do hope, fingers crossed, that in the future they decide to buff shotguns, or at least just move them out of the heavy rounds category, or make it worth being a heavy weapon by doubling or tripling its damage. So where you actually want to use it, but it's garbage right now. I'm gonna keep it a stack. Don't use it. D tier. That's what I'm saying. I wish there was F tier because it would go there. Anyways, next weapon is the Wave of Light Scout Rifle. Now I kind of gotta the Wave of Light is kind of like weird. It does okay damage. I'll tell you that. It does alright damage, and from like a range and stuff, you have a scope, so you know it's built for more precision shots. But look, let me tell you. So I play mainly on M&K. So like I said, I'm not trying to put my biases in here, but I think what I'm about to say is pretty important. So I play mainly on M&K, but sometimes depending on where I'm at and stuff like that, I'll use a controller to play when I'm not on my computer. And oh my goodness, is it hard to actually, aim good with a controller. Maybe I'm just trash with a controller, but it's really hard to aim good. And because the Wave of Light is a precision weapon, use case for like the average player base, especially if you're on console, might be a little bit rough to actually squeeze out its max potential out of the Wave of Light. But on M&K, you can. So let's just assume that you can. The damage is okay. Its unique ability is kind of trash, in my opinion. The only thing that's beneficial of its unique ability is the fact that you get critical hit rate after you reload, but the duration is only 1.4 seconds at max. That's ridiculous. What if you got to reload and dodge or something? That means you don't get that buff anymore. So the 1.4 seconds is a little bit rough. I don't understand why it's that low, and you get reduced recoil. So I mean, theoretically, it could be good, but that means you have to reload and instantly start shooting. You'll probably get like 2 shots out before the buff is gone with that bonus crit chance. So the unique ability kind of buns. Also it has weakened regeneration. To keep it a stack, right now there isn't really much but like 2, 3 type of bosses. There's one dungeon boss that I know of that drops his own heal drone. But I mean, just destroy the heal drone ASAP and it's not a problem. And then Devour self heals. That's really all that I could think of right now of that self heal. So like regeneration, just it's not worth it. It's not worth. It's just not worth it. It's trash. So the wave of light, I would have to. I would probably have to put it C tier for sure. Yeah, it's gonna have to go. I mean, it can hit. It's a C. Nah, I don't know. It's kind of rough because you can hit some decent numbers with it. Let me. It's a 1.8 times weak point damage multiplier with a 1.8 times critical hit damage. Only a 10% crit chance. Yeah, C tier. We'll put C tier for sure. C tier. It's all right, but it's not really worth. You know what I mean? All right, the Python. Ooh, so the Python, right off rip, has a 5% critical hit chance, and it's built for weak point hits. It does non-attribute bonuses and poison bonuses, but man, it spits so fast. Magazine size ain't that high, and by itself, this weapon's not all that great. It doesn't really do too much damage, to be honest. So I wouldn't. By itself, it sucks. But because this weapon is used with one of the like top tier builds, when I'm talking about Massacre Glay, this weapon is for her. It's for that build. Um, Typically it's used for her. So because it's for a top tier build, I would probably have to put the weapon in a dang, but then that's hard. I want to put a B tier, but it's not that great by itself. So then I'm thinking C tier. But because it's for a Glay build, and we know the Glay builds are kind of insane, put it in a B tier. So we'll put it in a low B tier. So this will be like towards the end of the B tier. Just because the weapon itself isn't that great, but it's used for a amazing build. All right, so now we get on to the Afterglow Sword Sniper Rifle. A tier for sure. Actually S tier. This sniper is probably, well, I mean, there's multiple snipers that aren't ultimate, but this is hands down probably the best sniper to use in the game, especially if you're fighting Colossus and Commanders. This weapon is beautiful. It gets so many bonuses to its damage when you land weak points, and it already has a pretty high firearm attack at 114,000, and it has what 50% critical hit chance, 1.8 times weak point damage multiplier, and a 2 times critical hit damage multiplier. It's really good. It is the best sniper for sure as a sniper. It gives you, well, let's see. Let's read this right here. We get reload time modifier, weak point damage, reload time modifier per stack, weak point damage per stack, and you get 6 stacks. So it's a great weapon for sure, especially if you're gonna use this as its DPS weapon. It's gonna hit like a tank. It's amazing. So Afterglow Sword for sure, S tier weapon. Thunder Cage. You see, I want to put Thunder Cage in S tier, but my only thing is Colossus fighting. Don't get me wrong, Thunder Cage is amazing. It's probably, no, not probably. It is the best mobbing weapon, for sure, hands down. The unique ability on this thing is actually insane. But when it comes to like Commanders and Colossus, it's not bad. Don't get me wrong. It's not horrendously garbage, but it's not like, yeah, I'm gonna take the Thunder Cage over maybe any of these 3 up here. You know what I mean? It's like these 3 will probably be your staple loadout. Enduring Legacy, Greg's Reverse Fate, plus the Afterglow Sword. That would be like your Colossus loadout, to be honest. Nothing else really, And the Thunder Cage, I wouldn't replace any one of these 3. So I'm gonna put the Thunder Cage high A, teetering low S tier. You know what I mean? It could be S tier, but it's just not quite there. Just because its bossing capabilities isn't all that great. It's amazing for mobbing though. Blue Beetle. So the Blue Beetle is similar to the Wave of Light, but I think the Blue Beetle takes the edge over the Wave of Light simply due to its unique ability. Um, so the Blue Beetle, it does have a little bit lower base attack. So like if we're looking at the weapon as a DPS weapon, it has a little bit lower base firearm attack than the Wave of Light, but it also has a little bit higher fire rate. Actually, I might be lying to you. No, it has a little bit lower fire rate, but it has higher critical hit chance. Um, Weak point damage is 1.5, and critical hit damage is a 1.8. But the critical hit chance is 25% base, so you're gonna definitely be able to squeeze out more crits, and obviously more crits means more damage over time. So the Blue Beetle definitely, I would say, is better than the Wave of Light when it comes to the DPS aspect. Also, its unique ability, if you're using any character for fusion at all, that's the unique ability you want. I would say with this weapon though, you can use it without any without upgrading its unique ability at all. I would recommend that you take it to max unique ability because it does reduce your skill cost or increase your skill cost at base level by 20%. So your skills are going to cost 20% more. So maxing it out will make it where that 20% is at 0%. So you're not going to use any extra skill cost or MP when you use your skills. But if you're using any fusion, so let's say you're using a Viessa, you're going to get at max level 30% critical hit at a 100% chance for 10 seconds for skills. This weapon is amazing for the fusion skill spammers. So this weapon for sure is above Wave of Light. I will put it in a B tier. Now I'm gonna put this higher than the Python. Now this is the real question: should we put it higher than the Divine Punishment? Because I think as just a weapon, I think the Divine Punishment is definitely better. But the unique ability on the Blue Beetle is better than the Divine Punishment. So it's a little bit tough to determine which one should be higher. Let me know in the comment section which one do you think. What do you think? Divine Punishment over Blue Beetle or Blue Beetle over Divine Punishment? I'm gonna put the DP over the Blue Beetle. So that's what we're doing. All right, so now we got the Smithereens, another D tier weapon. The Smithereens or Smithereens, whatever that shotgun is called, is pretty trash. Look, I know its unique ability talks about if you hit all pellets, it's 100% critical hit chance. But look, I have a video on the channel. It's fully built out, and then the damage that it's doing is practically the same damage with 100% crit as the other shotgun in a blink shotgun I also have on the channel, and it does that damage without a crit. And when the in a blink shotgun crits, it's practically tripling the damage of the Smithereens. And if you're gonna run a shotgun as a pretty much a main weapon just because you want to, you're gonna run Enzo. And having Enzo with his crit buff plus ammo, the in a blink is gonna out DPS the Smithereens all day, every single day. The Smithereens, although it's cool to have 100% crit, if you have 100% crit with trash firearm attack and trash critical hit damage multipliers, them crits aren't going to mean anything. And that's how the Smithereens is right now, or Smithereens, whatever the name is. It's D tier. But it is better than the Executor, so this Executor needs to go behind. That Executor is actually horrendous. So, alright, so now we are on to the hand cannon Peacemaker. This weapon is okay. It's gonna do some in the millions of damage per hit, like per weak point hit. But its unique ability is rough. And the reason why I say the unique ability is rough is because you need to use a dimension skill to get the unique ability to get the rapid fire, like McCree from Overwatch shot spamming. But the only problem is you're always gonna lose. What's it called? You're always gonna have a 30% skill cost. It's always gonna be 30%, and that's kind of rough. So, and it's built, you get your, you know, what you call it. You need 5 stacks to get the McCree shot spamming, but it's going to cost 30% more to use your skills for dimension skills, and it only buffs non-attribute dimension skills. So, I don't know. The unique ability is not that great, to be honest. It's not. Um, and it's gonna be, and it's a little tough to actually like spam those shots and stay 100% accurate. So the unique ability, not too great, but the weapon itself does some pretty decent damage for sure. I will say that with a 50% base crit and a 2.5 crit damage multiplier and a 1.2 times weak point. That's pretty good. So as a weapon, it's it's a good weapon if you like hand cannons, but it still follows that same issue as like the scout rifles. Like I said, if you play on controller, it might be a little tough to actually hit weak points, and this weapon's damage is going to come from weak points. So I would have to say this one is a probably it's a B tier weapon. It's above the Python for sure. If we're talking about just weapon damage type, or like, yeah, the weapon doing damage itself, it's above the Python for sure. That's how I see it. Let's see. Clairvoyance next. All right. So I know one of the earlier videos on my channel was completely dumping on the clairvoyance, right? Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying the clairvoyance beam rifle is so amazing now. I changed my mind. It's such a great weapon. No, it's still not an amazing weapon, but you can do some damage with it. You know, with a base of 20% critical hit damage and a 2 times critical hit damage, or base of 20% crit chance and a 2 times crit damage multiplier, you can get some damage out of this. You can get a decent amount. It only has a 10,000 base damage, so it's not like you're gonna hit, you know, cracked numbers, but you can get some damage out of it. Now, I think the unique ability on the clairvoyance is what saves this weapon for sure. Um, I mean, this weapon is the best elemental resistant debuffer in the game when it comes to weapons. Hands down, there's not a single other weapon that debuffs like this weapon. So this weapon is strictly for chill though, so it was going to reduce chill resistance 40%, and then, you know, if you get the stage 3 beam applied calling, that's another 40%. So it's kind of crazy with the debuffs. So, you know, you can use this weapon for what's her name, Viessa, and your damage is going to be a lot higher. So because of its unique ability, it saves this weapon for sure, simply because of its synergy with Viessa. So we're going to have to put this clairvoyance into B tier because of that. If it didn't have that good synergy with Viessa, this for sure would be a C tier, because you can kill stuff with this weapon, unlike with these 2 shotguns. You can kill some stuff. It's not the worst, but it definitely isn't the best. So C tier for the clairvoyance. Kingsguard Lance, D tier. I wish there was a F tier, because that's where this would go. This thing is garbage all the way around. From damage to, it's just trash. Don't pick it up ever. The unique ability is the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. I don't know who decided to make that, but they need to get fired. Anyways, so now we're looking at, what is the name of this? What is this? Restored Relic? Yeah, the Restored Relic rocket launcher. I think this one's actually really good. If you max it out, it's like homing rockets. Pretty freaking good. And because it has, on 109,000 damage, obviously you put some mods on it, it'll be a little bit higher. It has a 20% critical hit chance, so you can buff it up. I would probably say, you want to use this weapon with infinite ammo glay and just spam the homing rockets. So you're not really going to buff your crit chance, but because it already has 20% base, you can get a good amount. And the crit damage multiplier is only 1.2 times, so the crit damage multiplier is not too great. Plus the mods don't really like allow you to juice it like with a general round weapon, so it's good. It's use case dependent, like the Python. and the clairvoyance, but I don't know. I would probably have to put this one in the high C tier. It's not the best, by all means. Like I said, I would probably go for more like the Afterglow over this. But if I just want to have some fun with, infinite ammo glare and shoot homing rockets, Restored Relic is good. And it will do a decent amount of damage. The Sigvor's Proof, whatever. I don't really like this weapon. Um, Once again, I mean, you could use it with Glade, but the ammo or the sticky bomb stacking and then you unaim and it explodes. It just doesn't do that much damage, to be honest. With a base damage of 87,000, that's not too great. It has a 35% critical hit rate and 1.5 crit damage multiplier. It's just not all that great, to be honest. I don't think the Sigvor's whatever. I don't think it's better than Restored Relic at all. But I'm gonna put this at the end of C tier because this weapon. Actually, I don't even know. The Smithaniers and the Executor are actually try. Executor and Kingsguard Lance is just horrible. There's nothing below those two. I don't know. This one's a tough one for me. Let's see. Let's look at the unique ability. So when you aim and shoot, every bomb will be a sticky bomb. Once you stop aiming, they'll all detonate. Or you could just hit fire shoot and they'll automatically detonate like a regular, rocket launcher. And you get when they detonate, you can get burn damage. Yeah, you can get burn damage. Takes every 1 second. You get a little bit of additional burn damage when you stack them, and I don't know. Yeah, it's fine where it's at. C tier. It's not all that great. The damage is not all that great for a rocket launcher. It's mid for sure. You're not really gonna clean house with this weapon if you use it. So yeah, C tier, but it's still better than Executor and Kingsguard Lance in my opinion. All right. Now our next one is the Perforator. The Perforator hand cannon. So the Perforator hand cannon. It's good. It hits the hardest out of all the hand cannons. Doesn't have the best accuracy. Ammo count isn't too great, and neither is the fire rate. The unique ability is only use case dependent. There's a whole faction in the game where your unique ability isn't going to be useful at all because you need shields. You got to do damage to shields for a chance to do bonus damage to the shields per shot. So, I mean, yes, if you bust this out into a Colossus fight, you could potentially hit some pretty good numbers. But once those shields are gone, then you're just relying on the base damage. Now, don't get me wrong, the base damage of it is great for a hand cannon, but you can hit like I want to say, we'll say roughly 500,000 to 1,000,000 on a Colossus if you hit a weak point and build it right. I'm gonna have to put this in a B tier. I'm gonna put this high B tier. Should I put it above the Divine Punishment though? Yeah, we'll put it above the Divine Punishment. With the assumption that you have pretty good accuracy and can hit weak points fairly often, this weapon will definitely do good. Better than the Divine Punishment in most case scenarios, except for ad clearing because it's a hand cannon. Everything else though, it does pretty well. And if you take this into a boss fight, any kind of boss fight, whether it's Commanders or Colossus, you'll perform well with the Perforator. You'll hit some pretty good numbers. So yeah, we'll put that there. I think that's fine. High B tier. The Nazistor's Devotion, on the other hand, although it does have the same issue, it's a precision shot weapon, so you have to have good accuracy. So most of the player base, if you don't have great accuracy, you're not going to really squeeze the most out of this weapon. But the Nazistor's Devotion in and of itself is still an outstanding weapon. Unlike the Perforator, the Nazistor's Devotion's unique ability can be used no matter what on any enemy in the game. And it's what am I trying to say? Unique ability has the, reduces armor by a percentage. So that's pretty freaking crazy. So this will benefit you in your own fight, if you're running solo. Smack a dude in the mouth, because you need weak points, though, to activate his unique ability. Smack a dude in the lip, and apply the mark on him and reduce his armor. Bust him in the mouth again, now you got more damage. Or even if you're doing it and your teammates will still benefit from that because you're debuffing that enemy. So your team benefits from you using the Nazister's Devotion too. Not only that, the Nazister's Devotion hits hard too. It doesn't hit as hard as the Perforator, but it surely is not miles behind. It's pretty comparable to the Perforator. If we're being honest here, it's pretty comparable to the Perforator in damage. Obviously, Perforator will be a little bit higher in damage, but Nazister's Devotion, especially after its buff, this thing is beautiful. For sure, A tier. Hands down. Hands freaking down. I think it's slightly below the Thunder Cage, but A tier nonetheless. All right, now we are on the final masterpiece, handgun. The final masterpiece handgun, it's okay. I will say base stats on it are not too amazing. But for sure, it's okay. Its unique ability, you can get weak point damage, firearm, critical hit rate, or fire rate. Now, you can get lucky. Okay, so the way it works is every time you reload, you get one of those 3 buffs, whether it's weak point, critical hit rate, or fire rate. And it can stack up to 3 times. So you have a chance to build it up to 3. And at max unique ability, these buffs are pretty crazy. Here, let me tell you what the 3rd stack is of each one. So the weak point damage at stage 3, 82% weak point damage. That's crazy. And then at stage 3 for its other buff is firearm critical hit rate 83%. That's insane. And then its final buff that you can receive is at stage 3, fire rate is plus 25%. So it's cool on paper, theoretically, but when you actually take this weapon out into the field, being that this weapon, the way that it works is the duration only lasts 9 seconds, and you only get one of the buffs every time you reload. You can't really make the magazine super high. The fire rate only goes so high, so you can't empty that mag before the buff runs out, because you need to reload before the buff runs out to either potentially stack it or upgrade it to tier 2 or tier 3, that same buff, or get a new buff, you know what I mean, and keep them rolling. So it's a gambling weapon. You got to roll the dice every time you reload, but I don't know, you know what I mean? So we're going to put this in C tier. It's better than, you can use this to get decent kills. I mean, you can use it and do all right on a boss. And especially like with ammo economy and stuff like that in Colossus fights right now, it is a little bit better than these other 3. Actually, I'm gonna put the Wave of Light above all of them. You're still gonna be able to do stuff with the Wave of Light. Then the Final Masterpiece, and then these 2 rockets. They're niche. So that's the Final Masterpiece. Okay, now the last dagger. To be honest, here, the last dagger seems like it was made to be a mobbing pistol. Yeah, so the last dagger was made to be a mobbing pistol for sure, but I mean, you get some really great bonuses for this. You get up to 150 firearm attack. I'm pretty sure you get it up to what's it called? 100% critical hit rate just from the unique ability. I got my window open and some raggedy motorcycle driving by, so you probably heard that. But anyways, so I mean, the unique ability is only affected based off of every time you get a kill, and the duration lasts for 10 seconds. So you need to keep getting a kill within the 10-second time frame to upgrade it up to 5 stacks. You get more crit rate at max stacks. You're gonna get but more crit rate and 150 firearm attack, and then it's okay. That means you gotta get kills. And if you're running it, let's say you're running in a pub lobby and you got a bunny, you ain't getting kills. And then let's say you're running into a Colossus fight, The damage on this, although you can kill the little mobs, getting ammo back is probably the hardest thing currently in the game. So then it's like, okay, now, I mean, you could use the 10 seconds after killing the mobs that spawn to dish out more damage than normal because of, its buffs at 5 stacks. But it's a you know what I mean? Eh, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? I don't really know like how else to explain. It's alright. It's alright. You know what I mean? Y'all, you get it. I'm out here keeping it a stack with y'all. I'm not gonna like sugarcoat nothing. The last dagger, it's not horrendous. Crap boot. All right, we're gonna put it in the middle of the restored relic. We'll put it above these. Just simply due to the ammo economy. The last dagger technically would be better in most cases than the restored relic in this. But I do think that the final masterpiece, with even though you gotta gamble with it, it's still gonna outperform the last dagger. Those can go either way, because it can go either way. If you're running a dungeon, let's say you're running it solo, the last dagger would definitely do better than the final masterpiece, just because it's consistent. But if you're not running a dungeon and you're just doing something else, you can potentially, well, no, you will do better in a Colossus fight with the final masterpiece than the last dagger. So that's that. Excava right now, currently, it is at the #1 spot in D tier. It is garbage. I think it's trash. Man, I'm disappointed. I have a video on the channel, breaking it down. I have, showing different type of builds and things like that. It doesn't really matter what you do. This weapon cannot and will not perform better than a lot of other weapons in the game. It's gonna perform better than the Executor, Kingsguard Lance, and the Smith and Ears for sure. Also, in most cases, it will perform by default better than the Restored Relic and the Signor's Proof by default, simply because it's the general rounds and you're gonna have more ammo. But the weapon in itself is trash. The grenade, horrendous, and the grenade can crit, but it can't crit weak point, so your crits are whatever number that grenade hits times your critical hit damage multiplier. So, and then if you don't use a grenade, you have to hit fire. And then it's not like this gun's gonna hit stupid numbers like the Eternal Willpower. It doesn't matter if you build up all the grenades and you get this amazing critical hit chance and you only hit fire for the rest of the game. It's still not gonna be the Eternal Willpower. It's not. It's not gonna do better than that weapon. It's just not, unfortunately. So that's where the Excava goes. I wish it was better. I hope they buff it because, first off, aesthetically amazing. Blue's my favorite color. Shooting an energy grenade sounds dope. So I want them to buff it so possibly this weapon can go to like a high B tier or even an A tier weapon. I mean, if they want to buff it to S tier, then by all means. Yeah, I mean, because I already got it built out. Yeah. So let's move on. The Secret Garden. The Secret Garden is actually really good. It's if let's say you're using a tech character, i.e. Isimo. This Secret Garden, no, you don't even gotta use Isimo. Anybody that's tech. The unique ability on this weapon jumps the damage of the Secret Garden a lot. So at max stacks, you have a 50% chance when using a tech ability to get a firearm attack 5% and then firearm attack per stack 16% up to 3 stacks. Firearm attack per stack, and it's a 10-second duration, so it isn't forever. But let's say you run Isimo and you just, you know what I mean? Dude, that's damage. And also it does firearm attack, but it also does skill power. So you'll benefit, Isimo will definitely benefit each grenade that you spam and get your little 3 stacks, and then freaking dump with the Secret Garden for the 10 seconds. Get like a clip or 2 out in 10 seconds. Oh my goodness, the amount of damage you can get out with the Secret Garden is insane. So, Secret Garden is an A tier weapon for sure. This weapon can do good. It's a 5-round burst. It has a pretty decent fire rate because of the burst mechanics of it. It has a 50% critical hit chance with a 2.25 times critical hit damage multiplier base. This thing melts. And like I said, you use a tech character, use Isimo, use whoever the heck else is tech, and you're gonna fry. You're gonna fry with both abilities and the weapon. So Secret Garden for sure. I will probably place this thing. I'm gonna place this in the A tier, high A tier, because this thing will do amazing on a Colossus fight, and it also can deal with ads pretty easily without too much of an issue. And you buff your character, whoever's your tech character, so you're jumping your damage, and it's the same. It's 16% per stack, up to 3 stacks, and when you first get it, yeah. So it's a double whammy with this weapon. So if you are looking for a good weapon for your tech character, Secret Garden all the way. Max this out because it also, just like the Blue Beetle at base level, makes your skills cost more by 20%. So max it out so there is no added skill cost, and you'll be straight. This weapon will fry, shred, clap daddy, everything. So get yourself the Secret Garden if you don't got it yet. It's amazing. Piercing Light. Although, like the Afterglow Sword, this thing has probably like 1.7 times the damage, somewhere around there. Not quite 2 times the damage. The Piercing Light. It has about, like I said, about not quite 2 times the damage of the Afterglow, but about like 1.7-ish, somewhere around there. If you want to check my math, go ahead, let me know in the comment section. I'm just going straight off the top of my head because the Afterglow is about like 111,000 and the Piercing Light is about 190,000, something like that. All right, let me see. Yeah, about 100. Yeah, about 193,000. So, roughly, not quite 2 times. Anyways, Piercing Light, unlike the Afterglow Sword, Afterglow Sword gets benefits from attacking Colossus and Commanders. The Afterglow Sword will get bonus crit. So your critical hit chance will be absolutely insane. Plus, like I said, weak points, you're gonna get bonus, damage and stuff like that for the Afterglow Sword. The Piercing Light doesn't get any of that. It only gets you can remove buffs. So like, let's say you're fighting a Colossus and they just get a buff from something. You can hit a weak point and remove their buff at 100% chance for 1 second. But and then they can put the buff back on and just hit the weak point again. But other than that, it doesn't really get any extra damage boosts. It gets if you hit 2 enemies with 1 bullet, 2 or more enemies with 1 bullet, you'll have 100% crit chance with 6% critical hit damage from that. So you'll guaranteed crit if you hit like collats and all that good stuff. But that's about it. Now, this weapon being used for like Glaze, Demonic Modification, Transmod, or the new Descendant Haley, you want to use the Piercing Light because it has the highest base damage at almost 200,000 before mods. And you can get this thing up to what, 300-something thousand with some mods? I might be somewhere in that ballpark. So Piercing Light for sure is probably an amazing stat stick, especially being used with Haley right now, and she's, as you know, destroying bosses. And Glaze Demonic Modification, pretty good as well. So Piercing Light, I wouldn't say. Piercing Light, we'll put this in S tier, but at the end of S tier, simply just due to it does get good damage out. It does. And it's definitely used. It's great to be used as a stat stick. So we'll put it low S tier. Yeah, behind the Afterglow Sword, for sure. So I think that's good. Alright, guys, so that's my tier list for all the ultimate weapons in the first Descendant. Let me know what you guys think about this tier list. Do you think that something should be in different spots? Do you think I'm about right where I placed everything? What would you change? Do you agree or disagree? Did I miss a weapon? I don't think I did, but if I did, let me know. Just give me your thoughts in the comment section. That'd be awesome because I'm gonna read them and we can talk about it, I guess, or whatever. But this is my tier list. I think it's fairly accurate. You couldn't go wrong with anything in the S tier or the A tier. Uh, you could use most of the stuff in the B tier and be okay. So, anyways, guys, I just want to say thank you guys for watching. If you guys enjoyed, like the video. Don't forget to subscribe. Send this to your friends and let them watch it and tell them to subscribe. And yeah, that's it for me. Hey, don't forget, the creed here on this channel is gaming and gaining, all right? So we got a game and we got a gain, all right? Don't forget that. Hit the gym. Until next time.